name in the category of public service. And his story takes us all the way back to the American Revolution. John Barry Kelly writes, "In the space of 58 years, this son of a poor Irish farmer rose from humble cabin boy to senior commander of the entire United States fleet. Intrepid in battle, he was humane to his men, as well as adversaries and prisoners. Commodore John Barry's war contributions are unparalleled. He was the first to capture a British war vessel on the high seas. He captured 2 British ships after being severely wounded in a ferocious sea battle. He quelled 3 mutinies. He fought on land at the battles of Trenton and Princeton. He captured over 20 ships, including an armed British schooner in the lower Delaware. He authored a single book which established a set of signals used for effective communication between ships, and he fought the last naval battle of the American Revolution aboard the frigate Alliance in 1783. Wow, and I just had like 10,000 Twitter followers. Just kidding, he just did so much, it's so impressive. Alright, when Commodore John Barry was nominated to the Hall of Fame, he began a correspondence with the Office of the Secretary of the Navy in Washington, D.C. Is that my regular? Yeah, they were helpful to us and have sent Rear Admiral Rick Williamson to accept the nomination of the father of the American Navy, Commodore John Barry. Admiral Williamson served as Commander, Navy Region Midwest in Great Lakes, Illinois from June 2012 through August 2013. He assumed command of Navy Region Southeast in August 2013. Williams' decorations include the Legion of Merit, 2 Defense Meritorious Service Medals, 3 Meritorious Service Medals, 4 Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medals, 3 Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medals, and many other unit and campaign awards. My goodness, wow. Please join us in welcoming Rear Admiral Rick Williamson to the stage.
Thank you very much. First of all, you guys heard that I was the commander of Navy Region Midwest, and when this opportunity came up, I jumped on it because being stationed here, the patriotism of the folks in this part of the country is absolutely amazing to me. So every time I get a chance to come back here and say thank you on behalf of our military sailors, I'm going to do that. So thank you very much. And also being in the homestead, I know to talk real fast. So the Commodore was a man of many firsts in our Navy. During the first War of Independence, he was the first man to capture a British warship. Our first president gave him the first commission in the United States Navy. That means he was the very first officer. Our president also charged him with building and supervising the construction of our first 6 frigates. I was the CEO of a frigate, and that is something that's near and dear to my heart. Every man or woman that goes to sea in command of the United States Navy wears a pin with 6 stars that reflects those 6 frigates. I was the captain of the USS Simpson, and she will be the last frigate next summer when she being commissioned. So that is a special thing for me. In addition to that, in 2005, under a special session of Congress, the Commodore was also named the first flag officer. That's translated into he was the first admiral in our Navy. All that equals the school that I went to, the United States Naval Academy. They teach him he is the father of our Navy. But the one thing that the Commodore knew, it wasn't their technology, it wasn't the ships, it wasn't the rank, it's the people. As you heard, he was adored by his sailors. And the things that he did during the War of Independence are true today. And we carry those with us. And that is take care of your people and they'll take care of you. Again, in closing, thank you for the pleasure of being here. And may God bless our Navy and our nation. Thank you.
For our final presentation this evening, We are pleased to welcome to the podium one of our esteemed 2013 inductees into the Hall of Fame, Colonel Eileen Collins. Eileen is a woman of many firsts. She was among the first group of females chosen for the Air Force undergraduate pilot training school. At 23, she became the U.S. Air Force's first female flight instructor. In 1995, she became the first woman to pilot a space shuttle, twice piloting a mission between the U.S. Shuttle Discovery and the Russian Mir space station. And in 1999, she reached another space history milestone by becoming the first woman to command a space shuttle. Of the Discovery, the first space shuttle mission since the disastrous Columbia voyage in 2003. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2013 Hall of Fame inductee, Colonel Eileen Collins, who will present the award to our next inductee, Major General Michael Collins.
It's been a great night, but I'm here tonight and I'm very honored and I'm very pleased to share with you the exciting story of astronaut Michael Collins. He was in the third group of astronauts that were selected by NASA in October of 1963. Michael Collins was a pilot on the 3-day Gemini 10 mission, which flew in 1966. And then he shared a mission, where he shared his mission with John Young and conducted an EVA, a spacewalk, on the record setting flight. On Collins' next mission, he served as the command module pilot on Apollo 11, which launched July 16th of 1969 and landed safely back here on Earth on July 24th. This mission was the first lunar landing. Michael Collins remained on board the command module Columbia, unstationed in lunar orbit about 60 miles above the moon's surface, while Neil Armstrong, the spacecraft commander, and Edwin Buzz Aldrin, the module pilot, descended down to the surface in their lunar lander, Eagle. Collins then performed the final redocking maneuvers following the successful lunar landing, lunar launch, and rendezvous back in orbit with Armstrong and Aldrin. Among the other accomplishments of the Apollo 11 mission were the collection of lunar samples for return to Earth and deployment of scientific instruments on the moon's surface. Let's watch a short video of Major General Michael Collins.
Michael Collins, not the Irish revolutionary leader, but Michael Collins, the NASA astronaut. This guy was part of the Apollo 11 crew, meaning that he was part of the team that went to, landed on the moon, and became the first people to walk on the moon. Except, you might not know Michael Collins' name as well, because he did not get to walk on the moon. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked around, but Michael Collins had to stay orbiting the moon in the command module to link up with them later. Well, this is where things get lonely. People realized that Michael Collins, there in the command module orbiting the moon alone, was in a quite unique position. When he circled around to the far side of the moon, the side that faced away from Earth, he lost all radio contact with Earth and with Armstrong and Aldrin. For about the 48 minutes that Michael Collins was orbiting around the other end of the moon, he was quite literally the most lonely a human being has ever been. He was the furthest from any other humans that any human has ever been since the very beginning of mankind.
All this is possible only through the blood, sweat, and tears of a number of people. The American workmen who put these pieces of machinery together at the factory. Second, the painstaking work done by the various test teams during the assembly and the retest after assembly. And finally, the people at the Manned Spacecraft Center, both in management, in mission planning, in flight control, and last but not least, in crew training. This operation is somewhat like the periscope of a submarine. All you see is the three of us, but beneath the surface are thousands and thousands of others. And to all those, I would like to say thank you very much.
I think certainly to go as far away as the moon and look back on the Earth certainly does affect your perspective. The Apollo command module had 5 windows in it, and when you're 250,000 miles away from Earth and you look out the window to find it, it's very common to be no Earth in any one of the 5. The Earth is down under you, over your shoulder, somewhere else. So that's a strange sensation, to have to maneuver around even to find your home. And then when you see it, tiny as your thumbnail held out in front of you at arm's length, that sort of gets your attention. A beautiful sight, tiny, pristine, blue and white, very fragile-looking object, shining like a beautiful little headlight out there in the black velvet of space. It does change your perspective. It makes you think that we have to take better care of this little fragile entity, because it is fragile.
So it was very exciting for me to meet him. I did read his book back when I was a young pilot in the Air Force. The book is called Carrying the Fire. And it's one of the best books that has ever been written on the Apollo program, and actually the Gemini and Apollo program. And the book itself was part of my inspiration. So Michael Collins made very critical contributions to our country's Gemini and Apollo programs. And then to top it off, he flew on, I believe, the most amazing voyage of our time. Humankind's first trip to walk on another planetary body. So tonight I'm so honored to present this award of Michael Collins' induction into the Irish American Hall of Fame. And here to accept the award is Michael's grandson, Luke Newell.
Hello. On behalf of myself, my grandfather, my grandmother, and my mother, thank you all. I sent my grandfather an email asking if there was anything in particular he wanted me to talk about, and also what influence his Irish heritage had had on his life. And a few days later, I got a letter in the mail. He told me that he had always been aware of his heritage, largely because his father was always so proud of it. He told me especially he appreciated the importance the Irish place on language, both written and oral. To quote him, "I am thrilled with a sentence masterfully constructed." This is something I certainly share with him, although he assures me that he isn't quite as eloquent as the people from County Cork, although I don't think I believe him. I also guess then that this speech will be a test to see if my family's Irish background successfully transferred to me. He also told me that he loved their dedication to independence, both as a nation and as individuals, and I think this is a wonderful descriptor for Mike himself. He's the closest thing I've ever had to having a hero in life, and despite doing what I consider to be one of the coolest things of all time, he is astonishingly humble, wonderfully intelligent, and absolutely hilarious. He's never one for spotlights, and his opinions on celebrities are always entertaining to hear, but he has stayed so resolutely to his own personality, which is something I certainly admire. Fortunately for all of this stubbornness just means he clings to kindness with a serious inclination towards lighthearted humor. I did allot myself just a little bit of time to talk about space itself, because I think it's kind of cool. And it's also one of the things that he has inspired me to look into and research, especially as it relates to what he was talking about at the end of that video, that alternate perspective. This guy named Frank White coined a term called the overview effect. So we see the Earth as the whole and its unity in this sort of borderless object that exists in the fifth window over there. And I guess sort of a very simple version of this, because I'm not supposed to go over 2 minutes either, is that as seen from space, there are no borders on our planet, and our busy lives and political disputes suddenly become silent. For Mike and me, do your best to find a place of silence. For me, that was originally fishing in Florida with my grandfather. So I hope you all can too, and thank you.